Well, good evening. My name is Brian Hammond. I'm the chairman of the Board of Lee County Commissioners. I'm joined this evening by Commissioner Ray Sandelli, Sheriff Carmine Marcino, Commissioner Kevin Ruane, and Dr. Christopher Bernier, the superintendent of Lee County Public Schools. Welcome to our 5:30 p.m. update on Tropical Storm Idalia. With me, again, I mentioned are my colleagues. We want you to know that we are carefully monitoring this tropical storm, and we encourage you to watch your local meteorologist and local news stations for the latest on the forecast throughout the night. Be sure to keep in touch with their websites, with the National Hurricane Center's website, and with the National Weather Service as well. In light of the forecast, we are moving to a level 1 activation here in the Emergency Operations Center. What that means is we're going to be working 24 hours a day monitoring the storm. We do not have any evacuation orders in place at this time, and we do not anticipate making any evacuation orders based on the forecast that we see right now. We also understand that this storm is going to move off of our coast, though, and it's going to create some very stormy conditions for us here in Lee County. And so because of that, we are going to make some announcements this evening. In fact, we're announcing the opening of 2 safe havens this evening. Now, these are not shelters. These are a safe place for anyone to go who does not feel secure in their housing situation currently. So if you are perhaps in a trailer or a motorhome or a home that was damaged by Hurricane Ian and you don't feel secure about the repairs that they've been fully made, you have a place to go at the safe havens. The 2 safe havens will open at 7 o'clock. One will be at the North Fort Myers Recreation Center. The other will be at the Estero Recreation Center. Now, these are places for you to go if you do feel insecure about your housing needs, but you also want to keep in mind that if you have a friend or family member's house to go to, you may be more comfortable there. These should be seen as more of a last resort, but they are open if you need them. If you need transportation to one of these sites, but you don't have a vehicle, you could still get there. Lee County Transit, known as LeeTran, will be arranging free routes to these safe havens. You can go to leecounty.gov or leegov.com/storm to find the links to the LeeTran website with all of that info on it. Also, you could call the United Way 211 line to make arrangements as well. I have a couple of announcements on things that will be open or closed tomorrow. So Lee County government itself will be closed tomorrow to ensure as few people as possible are on the roads or out of the house during the tropical conditions. Our employees at the Emergency Operations Center, of course, will be here working, and of course, the departments that are necessary to be working will be working throughout the storm. We do have links from our storm website, that's leegov.com/storm, to the city's websites and to the constitutional officers' websites. They will be able to tell you about their individual openings and closures on their websites. Just be aware that some government offices may be closed tomorrow, so you might want to check before you head out of the house to go to any of them. The Lee County Board of County Commissioners workshop for Tuesday has been canceled. The Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery public meeting that was scheduled for Sanibel tomorrow night, Tuesday night, has also been canceled. But let's talk about garbage pickup for a second. That is still on. Lee County's solid waste will continue its Tuesday curbside collections of garbage pickup. Our solid waste haulers did not have any service scheduled for the Barrier Islands tomorrow, so they're going to get out there as early as they can in the morning and begin picking up trash. And so if you see that your can is picked up throughout the day and you can go outside safely and do that, it's a good idea to then come bring it back inside. So with that, I'd like to introduce our Sheriff, Carmine Marcino, to share a few updates from the Lee County Sheriff's Office.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Sure.
Appreciate you. First, thanks for being here. I appreciate you being here and spreading the word for us. I want to tell you a little bit about the Lee County Sheriff's Office and what we're doing exactly, and that is all our major assets are being moved around and secured at this time. We're buttoning down the hatches in case we do get those hurricane-type winds. Our marine boats are taken out of the water, but 2 boats will stay in the water in case there's any emergencies on the water. LCSO helicopters are being moved into the hangar, okay, potentially being moved into the gun range specifically. The Ag unit has secured an impound lot and brought all equipment inside. Our Gulf District is monitoring local gas stations for fuel levels, communicating with the local fire department if sandbags are necessary. Our West District has secured ATV and all-terrain vehicles, and those are obviously pertinent to our success when we can move around if need be in difficult terrain. Our the ECU unit ground surveillance towers are being moved through a safe location. Mosquito Control is moving their choppers into the gun range. The training unit is moving vehicles into our 50-yard marker at the range. The real-time intelligence center will monitor the storm continuously, and we can assign through that personnel all over the county. It's a huge county, over 1,200 miles of land and sea. So we look at the storm, we assess constantly, we're updated constantly, and deploying assets. At this time, no assets have been staged, but this could change. Most importantly, understand at 45 miles an hour, our fire, EMS, law enforcement, all of us come off the roadway once that wind hits a sustained 45 miles an hour. So we want you to have your plan, be proactive, and not wait. Our primary responsibility is your safety and your security, but know that accountability does start with you. Your sheriff's office is ready for everything and anything that can come your way. We're blessed to work as a team here. This county does a great job coming together, and when we do that, we're successful. The great residents of Lee County can rest well knowing they're going to be safe. Again, it's a team, and there is no I in team, but I expect people to start with the accountability on themselves. When you look at a storm, you see the cone, it's very unpredictable. Mother Nature's unpredictable. You see different, plans of where the storm could possibly hit. The one thing you can count on is yourself and making a plan and taking that plan to another level so you're safe no matter what, and don't wait till the 11th hour. I appreciate you all very much, and thank you very much for being here.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate you.
At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Christopher Bernier, the Superintendent of Lee County Public Schools.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well, good evening, everyone. Just a few announcements from the School District of Lee County. Clearly, you received our information earlier this afternoon that the School District of Lee County will be closed for business tomorrow. Emergency operation personnel responsible for the health and safety of our school district will be working, however, although working at remote, and some of us at the central office location. The cancellation of school was due to the earlier weather reports that put us in miles per hour in the afternoon. Certainly, we could probably get our students to school in the morning, but I want our parents to understand we have to look at the entire day. As weather conditions continue to deteriorate through tomorrow afternoon, we are not fully confident that we'd be able to get our students home safely. So this is an opportunity for our students and their families and for our employees to prepare, make sure they're taking care of their own personal needs at this time, and to stand at the ready. Should the county call upon us, our school district will be ready to respond. Thank you.
All right, so just a few comments now to close up. We want you to continue monitoring the storm, as we said, online through your local news outlets. We also want you to continue to go to our social media websites. So Lee County Government is on Facebook. It's on all of the social media platforms. We've tried to put the most up-to-date information on there as well. So definitely stay up to date on what's happening with this storm as it comes by. Again, no evacuations at this time are in place, but we have opened the safe havens for you if you feel like you're insecure in the housing that you have right now. And with that, we'll go ahead and take any questions that you have.
Sheriff Brian,
Go ahead.
thank you guys again for being here. I know we saw you guys just about 6 hours ago at 11. The message then really seemed to be, if you're concerned, leave. Now it's been 6 hours. What are you guys thinking, and what's your messaging to the public that's watching this live?
Yeah, again, I think we want to reiterate that the message is this is a great time to have your plan in place and to know where you're going to go. We don't anticipate any evacuation orders to be made, but you shouldn't wait until you hear the words mandatory evacuation to figure out where you're going. You should figure that out right now. Start to think about that. Even if it's not for this storm, think about it for future storms. Just know where you would want to go. And of course, those options are, think about a friend or family member's place who you could go to who's outside of that Zone A or outside of that Zone B. Those Zone A's and B's seem to be the first to be called for evacuations, but if you've got somebody who lives inland, pretty far inland, in a place that's newer construction, that's dry, that's going to stand up to the wind, you'd be much more comfortable there than you would a shelter. So those are some of the things you might want to think about.
Is there any particular part of the county in which the county is concerned about the possibility for flooding if there was a heavy downpour or rivers overflowing the banks?
Yeah, you know, I think definitely you want to watch the spots that typically do see flooding and be prepared. A lot of those homeowners who live in those areas understand the history. We're looking at a potential for high tide and a full moon and maybe 2 to 4 feet of storm surge. So prepare as you would for that kind of conditions historically. We definitely don't believe this is going to be the same level of what we saw with Hurricane Ian, which brought 15 feet of storm surge, but nothing to take lightly. It's always better to over-prepare than it is to under-prepare.
But are there any steps being taken in particular areas that may be subject to flooding to alleviate the flooding by diverting water or something else of that nature?
Yeah. Let me ask our public safety director, actually our county manager. I'll introduce our county manager, Dave Harner, real quick to cover those.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, we continuously work year-round with Natural Resources and DOT to make sure our waterways are clear. That means culverts, any waterway that we're responsible for, we're working through. So that happens year-round, and then right before a storm, as we know a storm's coming in, we go in and we make sure we do a clear run to make sure all those are open and flowing. Thank you.
You all mentioned the estimations of 2 to 4 feet of storm surge in some of those Zone A coastal communities. What's the threshold where we start to look at an evacuation notice in terms of storm surge? What's sort of the threshold for you guys?
So we have a plan year-round where we look at those evacuation thresholds, and I'd like to introduce our Public Safety Director, Ben Abus, to talk about that planning that goes on year-round and what he looks at as he's watching the forecast unfold. Ben?
As the commissioner said, we do have a plan that we work with year-round, and we are looking at each forecast cycle to evaluate what the forecast is showing for our community against those plans. And in this case, we've been watching since Friday and Saturday as the first forecast came out, evaluating those, looking at what the potential impacts may be. You know, we look at all of the different scenarios, including what's inside the cone, outside the cone, all of the different forecast models to be able to identify what the potentials are. We plan for all of those, but then we start to implement the most appropriate measures as we get closer to the impacts. And right now, the storm appears that it's going to be far enough offshore that we'll be able to just have some what would normally be tropical storm force winds and rain impacts, as we were talking about just a moment ago. If we do see significant changes to that forecast, we are prepared because we're constantly looking at those forecasts and preparing for a number of different scenarios.
Any further questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
one more. Is there any concern that contractors who have a lot of equipment on the site, and you have strong winds such as that any of that material that may have been on the site for potential use in the coming days will be secure enough to withstand the winds that might be coming?
Yeah, I think we talked about that even earlier today. That was one of the things that we advised a lot of folks who are doing construction projects. Even at our own county construction projects, we work with our contractors to secure anything that could be loose during the storm as well. And that is certainly something that we worked on as well and advise people to do. If you've got loose items that you can go ahead and take care of and secure tonight, while the weather's still good, go ahead and do that. That's not a bad idea. And yes.
What are the capacity limits for these safe havens, and could you go into more about what exactly they're going to do for the public?
Yeah, so they are going to be a place where you can go and have a secure shelter over your head. You would want to bring items that would help you be more comfortable there. If you didn't want to sit on the floor, if you wanted like some portable chairs or bedding or something like that, you would want to bring those with you as well. In fact, I'd like to introduce our Public Safety Director to maybe even answer a few more questions about that, if that's okay.
So again, as the commissioner mentioned, the safe havens are a location where people who are insecure in their current housing situation can go to make sure that they have a place that's safe during the most severe impacts during the storm. We're going to be monitoring those capacities, especially tonight and then going into the morning to see how full those locations are getting. And if they do start to fill up, we have additional locations we can open if necessary. Again, this should be a last resort. We want people to exercise their plan that they have year-round, go to a family member or a friend's home. They can evacuate. They can go out of the area, whatever they choose to do. But if they don't have any other option, this is available if they need a safe place to be.
Very good. All right. If there are no further questions, I'd like to announce that tomorrow morning at 8:30 a.m. we'll have another update to provide for you. For now, continue to monitor legov.com/storm, and thank you very much.